Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Listening to this radio show, you've just tuned in to the best new paranormal radio show on blogtalkradio.com. This is Paranormal Review Radio. My name is Anthony Agate, broadcasting from New York, and my co-host in Chicago is Luci Leibfried. Say hello, Luci.
Hi. Thanks, Anthony. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We hope you'll stick around. You'll give us a listen, that you'll call us. We've got a phone number set up for you. It's area code 661-244-9831, and we hope you'll chat with us. There's a chat room open on the show page, and we'll hope you stick around.
Actually, before we get into any of the topics, I just wanted to give a thanks to Siren Marie for composing and writing and creating our intro music. I think it's just awesome, and we wanted to thank her. So let's get on to the beginning of the show. Our topic tonight is the end of the world predictions. From 90-year-old family radio leader and Bible-thumping Harold Camping to the Mayans' 2012 calendar, it's been the most talked about and feared prediction for the last decade or so. Obviously, the end of the world is not among us today, as Harold Camping has predicted, but if we hear of any reports of people flying into the sky or the heavens, or for meteors hurtling towards us, we'll send someone on the scene immediately. But it seems as though doomsday is, well, doomed. To be honest, we would have known yesterday if the world was ending, because Australia is a day ahead. I mean, come on, they're like the world's guinea pig for us all. So, Luci, what do you think about all this doomsday talk? Where do we begin to review the phenomenon, and is it fact or fiction?
Hi, Anthony. I think we need to start with Harold. Today was supposed to be the end of the world. I mean, I know we do have a couple more hours. Has anyone seen him lately? Harold has kind of disappeared from the scene. There were a couple minor earthquakes this morning, but other than that, it's been a relatively quiet day.
Well, he actually said a while ago that after his failed May 21st attempt to predict the end of the world, that this time around today, October 21st, it was actually going to be a quiet doomsday, for whatever that means. So maybe it's sort of his whimpering out and going the opposite way, and who knows where he is actually now. He hasn't been interviewed at all. I know he had suffered a stroke, right? I think it was a couple months ago or something.
Mm-hmm. He's recovering at home. But maybe it has happened and we just don't know it.
Well, good. So if we're dead, then there's nothing to go to work for, nothing to do this weekend, then, right?
Hey, everybody! Thanks for joining us. So actually, our boy Harold, he has studied the Bible for 50 years. He talks about the true believers being taken to heaven, the rest of us being left on earth to face final judgments. Harold also predicted the world was going to end between September 5th and September 27th in 1994. It didn't happen. Then he said December 25th in 1994. Then he said April 3rd in 1996. And that led to this year's May 21st, 2011, and today. And up to this point, Harold has given us no reason for the mistakes in his dates.
But who is Harold Camping? I mean, he has a BS in civil engineering, and somehow changed paths and went down the sort of Bible thumping way and created basically his own religion. and lived off of his earnings from his construction company that he had. I think it was in like 1958. So who is he to actually then become this sort of prophet to predict these numerous, 1, 2, 3, 4, how many were there? 5 world endings, and for people to believe him. I mean, May 21st was the media and the news and everything on May 21st being the rapture was amazing. I mean, I've heard people that they close out their bank accounts and they packed up their house and moved to shelter. I mean, for someone who was a civil engineer to become this Lord of Prophet, it blows my mind, and it amazes me that people would believe him.
Well, Harold's not the only one. There have been a few other predictions, and they've ended up being failures. I think one of them, we can start with the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses have said that Jesus was coming back in 1874, in 1914, 1925, 1941, and 1975. Pat Robertson, he said in 1982, I guarantee by the end of 1982, there's going to be a judgment on this world.
Yeah, well, you know what? Didn't Pat Robertson, where is it? I had something on him that the Haitian earthquake, didn't he say something that was sort of like the God's will to sort of return the curse that they had put upon themselves to get away from the French? Again, a brilliant man over here, televangelist, predicting when the earth and the world was going to end, and here he is having nonsense about earthquakes hitting Haitians, and it was actually a good thing for them that had happened to them. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous.
Well, there is, in my research, I did come across a kind of interesting one. This was in 1814, and this was a woman named Johanna Southott. And in 1814, this English woman, she claimed she was going to give birth to the second coming of Jesus in 1814. She claimed that she was having visions, but Miss Joanna had already gone into menopause. So,
and how old was she?
It never happened. She was in menopause, so I'm going to say she probably was well into her 50s.
And she was going to give birth?
She was going to give birth to the second coming of Christ. And no one believed her.
Didn't she die on the day that she actually said that she was going to give birth to Jesus?
I'm not sure. Probably from embarrassment.
And well, how about this one? This guy, remember Richard Nolan? Or did you ever hear of Richard Nolan?
No.
He predicted that the Ice Age would actually start on May 5th, 2000, in his book, Ice, Ultimate Disaster. But actually, while he was researching this and doing his own sort of cognitive thinking on why the Ice Age was going to happen on May 5th, he actually drew up some stuff about Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Knights Templar. So I guess his sort of idiotic ways in sort of saying that we were going to come into the Ice Age on May 5th in 2000 actually led to some good things to know about what the Freemasons and Illuminati were, and actually uncovered some secrets about them. So at least he was in one good direction.
Well, let's talk about, if you want to talk about predictions, let's go to the Mayans and the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar actually stops on December 21st, 2012. And basically we've had scholars go over it, they've studied it. But in my research coming up, the Mayans themselves never really saw 2012 as the end of the world. The end of the world prediction was other people's interpretation of the calendar, and the Mayans never really actually supported that view. The Mayans, like other indigenous people, believe in cycles, circles, and the ending of the 2012 calendar is just the end of one age. What do you do when your calendar runs out? You go buy a new one. Well,
right.
Obviously they never, they finished the calendar, and their civilization kind of went by the wayside, before they could get another one. They do believe that at the end of the cycle there is the opportunity for the world to go into like this dark rift, and it falls in line with the aligning of the planets, and that there is the opportunity for earthquakes and floods and all of the good doomsday stuff. But not at one point did they ever say that it was going to be the end of the world. And another note, the correct term, everyone says Mayans, they're actually called the Maya, and everybody calls them the Mayans. So, and look at, there were brilliant astronomers, they were brilliant mathematicians, but this is a civilization that also believed that the sun lived on the blood of human sacrifice. So, you kind of take it one way or another. I mean, on one hand, they're super mathematicians, they got all the constellations going, and then on the other hand, they're like cutting the hearts out of their enemies and offering it up to the sun. So,
well, I want to give the opportunity for people to actually join in on this conversation. So if anybody out there has any information or just wants to join in and discuss any of the topics on the world ending, just give us a call at 661-244-9831. That's 661-244-9831. And we'll include you in on the conversation, and if you disagree with any of our comments or you want to add to it, we've been more than happy to have you join in on the conversation. But I do want to go back to the Maya civilization and talk about their calendars. They not only just had the long count calendar, which everybody's talking about now that's going to end in 2012, they had many calendars. They had another calendar that was called the calendar round, which was a 52-year-long calendar. And back in that time, in 250 A.D., basically 52 years was the lifespan of an average human being. And so they calendared a life cycle just the same as we do a calendar a year in our life. They actually calendared their entire life. They sort of like to bring in the global scope of a person's life and their existence and other existences, and not just a day or a week or a month. So, they've got the long count. They've got the calendar around. They had so many calendars, and I'm not sure why everybody is sort of concentrating on this one calendar that ends next year in December in 2012. It amazes me. And the Maya never actually said anything they never prophesized anything about the world ending. They just said that there was going to be a change. There could be some rifts and some sort of catastrophes. But, Luci, when you think about it, how many catastrophes have we had in the last 500 years, 200 years? It just doesn't make sense to me why people would take this and go off and just put fear into everybody's lives that the world is going to end.
Well, actually, there is a gentleman named Jose Agate, and he passed away just recently in March 2011. He was a world-renowned author, artist, visionary, educator. He was the founder of the Planet Art Network, the Foundation for Law of Time. He had a Ph.D. in art history and from the University of Chicago. He taught at numerous colleges, including Princeton, the San Francisco Art Institute, and he's also considered the father of the Mayan 2012 prophecy.
He's actually the one that started the prediction?
He's actually the one that started this, because what he did was he started experimenting with the hallucinogenics that the people that the Mayans had used, and at one point he believed he was the reincarnation of a Mayan priest from about the year 600 of the name of Paco Votan. And it is suspected that Mr. Arguello's use of the hallucinatory substances from the region led to this claim, and his further claims that the world was going to end at the end of the Mayan calendar.
So the world ending basically revolves around an LSD trip.
Pretty much.
That's basically it, right?
Pretty much. So that's where a lot of that came. And he's not the only one. There's a couple other professors, scientists, and all of them ended up experimenting with the hallucinatory stuff, and all pretty much came to the same conclusion. So, take it with a grain of salt. One of the other, but an interesting thing that I found, being half Cherokee, I decided that I was going to do some research on Cherokee prophecies, and basically the Cherokee calendar really does end at 2012, the same time as the Mayan calendar. There is a prophecy where the universe revolves around a constellation of the snake, and this is kind of like the ruling constellation, and at 2012 there's going to be major change. Now this theme kind of went through, I went into other Native American prophecies and about the end of the world, and a lot of it does revolve around our relationship with the earth. Like I said before, Native Americans, we believe in cycles, that one cycle begins and everything goes in a circle. Well, it's a time of change. It's not a time of destruction. It's a time of change. It can turn into destruction, but the main thing that I found, the main thread that's going through all of this is basically our relationship with the earth. And if you look at a lot of the things that are happening, a lot of, like, the elders are saying that these are all parts of the prediction. Our water systems being damaged, our trees being used up. We're using up all the energy on the earth. Well, basically, it would be the end of the earth if we didn't maintain it. I mean, our bodies are 90% water, and the Native American people, they believe that water is sacred. And the more that we pollute the water around our earth, the more we're heralding our doom. So a lot of the prophecies that the Native Americans have, they're not so much involved with things falling out of the sky. They're basically, a lot of these are in tune with the earth and our relationship with the earth.
So basically, it's just another cycled calendar, just like what we have, just like what the Maya have, and countless others. I know the Egyptians also had that as well. That it's basically, you're just taking down a calendar and you're putting up a new one. And spiritually, within the earth and the cycles in the universe, basically everything is just coming to a climax. It's sort of like visioning a wheel coming down a hill. The momentum of force is actually greater as the wheel is closer towards the bottom of the hill because of the gravitational pull. And so basically now you're coming at the end of this cycle and coming to the end of this old beginning and into a new beginning. This wheel is becoming faster, and so things are speeding up a little bit more. And so you've got all these more earthquakes, more tsunamis, more hurricanes, more famine and disaster. It's just everything is coming to a culmination. And I mean, just recently, Muammar Gaddafi was assassinated and killed. You've had Saddam Hussein. You've had Osama bin Laden. You've had the uprising in Syria and Libya and Egypt, and you've just had all of this turmoil. It seems as though, like, it's sort of like when you have a cold. You've got this virus in you, and your body's trying to fight it. It seems as though the earth has some sort of bad seed inside it, and it's just collectively wanting to just expose and get rid of the bad. And so it's getting ready for this new horizon, this new beginning as we enter in January 1st, 2013. I mean, that's what I believe, and that's what I've been gathering from all of the research. I'm not sure, Lucy, what you sort of get out of it, but that's sort of what I'm coming up to believe right now.
Well, I will admit that when I first started on this subject, I was a little iffy about it. It was scary. I mean, at one point, I didn't even want to watch the movie 2012 because I didn't want to talk about it. But the more I've done research, the more reassured I am. The underlying theme out of a lot of the and it's the Native American stuff that has really struck a chord with me. A lot of it is renewal. It's change. It's making a difference in your life. Like even going back on all the religious prophecies and the Bible, Armageddon, all of the prophecies that we have. I mean, there's one underlying theme in the Bible, that no one knows the end time. not even the angels in heaven, not even the sun. Only God knows. And my take on it is pretty much that the people that wrote the Bible, I mean, life was hard back then. I think basically what they were trying to get across to their followers is that you need to be ready every single day of your life. You need to live your life to the best that you can, to tell the people that you love them, and to be good to each other. And it's not just for the end of the world. I mean, it's kind of like for every day of your life. And that, to me, is what I'm taking away from this. Now, there's other, there's other prophecies. I mean, we haven't even touched on Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce, I mean, all these other people. But the thing that I've gotten out of all of this is just that it's renewal, it's change, and it's also being the best person you can every single day of your life, not just when you think the end's coming.
Well, I want to expand on it a little bit because I actually have two opposite points of view. One, actually, I have a clip from NASA, which I'll play in a little bit, but I want to get into Jesse Ventura. And I'm sure everybody out there knows who Jesse Ventura is. Prior wrestling superstar, and in 1999 was governor of Minnesota. And within the last 5 years, I mean, he's actually, in my opinion, gone off the deep end. He left the United States because he says he could not live in America anymore, which is just unbelievable after being governor for about 4 years, and moved to Mexico. Which is fine, but he sort of has been bashing American politics and American ways, and has created this and has revived, in my opinion, a lot of conspiracy theories, from 9/11 to aliens to everything. And he has written books named Conspiracy Theories, and actually had a show, and I'm not sure if it's still even on air anymore, but he actually had a show on True TV, oddly enough, called Conspiracy Theories. I don't think he has an idea of another name of a show or a title for anything. But he claims that in this show and in this episode, he claims, excuse me, that the government knows that the disaster of the world ending is coming, and it's coming very soon, and is not telling the American people. I find that hard to believe. I do understand the government trying to protect the people in mass hysteria and paranoia and chaos and all that other stuff. But I'm sure if there was an impending doom that somebody knew about in the next 10 to 12 months, I'm sure that our government and the president will be telling us these things. I don't think they would be keeping it a secret. I mean, I don't know what you believe, Lucy, but to me, I think that the government would be telling at least the majority of folks of what the realism is, what is about to happen, because everybody's going to eventually find out anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's pandemonium now or there's pandemonium 6 months later from now.
Well, you do have your factions out there that unfortunately don't trust the government at all. And that's probably a whole separate show when you go into, like, all the conspiracy theories, whether it's the government or whether, the current administration is a puppet, or, we're being controlled by the Illuminati or the aliens. But there's a lot of people out there that just do not believe what's being told to them. And they probably do think along the lines of Jesse. But then again, these are probably the people that were watching him when he was wrestling, too.
I mean, a lot of this just perpetuates the fear itself, and so he's just feeding into that idea of fear. And I'm going to play you a clip of part of that episode from Conspiracy Theory on True TV that Jesse hosts, and he's talking about a bunker that he claims, or he has researched and now claims, that the government is secretly building. And it's just funny about where he says it's actually being built. So let me play this for you.
Largest one that you know of?
I can't say on camera.
You can't say on camera?
No.
Jesse has hit on a sensitive subject. He appears to be getting close to a well-guarded secret.
But I can tell you the U.S. government for the last 10 years have been on a crash shelter building program from coast to coast. There have been times when I was trying to order blast valves or filtering equipment for a private client, and during that time period could not get it because the government was buying everything.
First-person confirmation of a secret government bunker program. The architect's claim is explosive, but it pales compared to what he reveals next.
How big is the largest one you know of then, without saying where or when or who? How big is the largest one you know of?
The largest one I know of is about 300,000 square feet. It is built by the government. It is located in the Midwest, and it is designed specifically for 2012 and economic collapse.
Really? 300,000 square foot?
Yes.
Specifically for the government?
Yes. Under a obvious government facility.
But if you're building a 300,000 square foot,
I didn't build it.
Anybody.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to keep that a secret, right? You got huge amounts of equipment and manpower.
Not if you were building an above ground structure that took in 4 or 5 square miles. And this was just a part of it, right underneath of it. I think
then it could be blended in with the regular work and nobody would really pay attention to it.
If you were building...
He's actually talking about the Denver airport. He's talking about the government building this bunker underneath the Denver airport. And within the episode, they actually go to the Denver airport and they walked around. And I know, Lucy, you and I have both been there. And I didn't get a chance to actually look around and see the actual airport. But he had talked about the painting. There's this huge painting in the airport where it depicts the end of the world and the destruction. I mean, it is kind of weird to have this huge mural painting in an airport, and you've got fire, and in one part of the painting there's actually a kid holding a teddy bear crying on the floor while the town or his house or whatever is being burned down. I mean, that's kind of odd to have in an airport, but he's linking all of these things together, and he has this quote-unquote expert to talk about and expose the idea that the government is building this bunker underneath the Denver airport. I mean, again, to me, that's ridiculous.
It's wow. That's a new one. I do remember wandering around the airport. I don't remember seeing the mural. The only reason why we didn't wander around is because the rumors that it is haunted, and basically we were looking for activity. I mean, there's a baggage carousel that consistently breaks down. That's really, really amazing. But then again, it makes sense because Colorado has missile silos there. There's a lot of things there that the government has, but that's weird. That's absolutely weird. That I didn't know that.
The one thing that was odd though that I found in that show, in that episode, was while they were in the Denver airport, and I don't know if you saw this, Lucy, there's a plaque, and I think it's on the eastern side of it, that actually has the Freemason symbol on this plaque, and on the Freemason symbol it states New World Commission, Airport Commission, I think it's called. And he claims, and I didn't do any research on it, but Jesse Ventura claims that the New World Commission Airport or Mission Airport does not exist. And there's no research, there's no papers, there's no documents to validify anything that this New World organization in regards to Airport Commission exists at all. And so because there's that Freemason symbol, he thinks as though that this may be something that's underground, meaning quote-unquote underground, that it's secretive and that no one else knows about. And if you come to the airport and you look at all these different symbols, the painting, the Freemason plaque, there's also this gargoyle that's sitting up top and I remember seeing this, a gargoyle sitting in a briefcase perched up on top in the corner, and he's signifying that that's sort of a secretive way to, or sort of code to say this is where you can close up and hide. To me, he's just linking things up that just don't make sense to me, in my opinion.
Well, it is is Jesse Ventura. But then again, when you think, the thing that struck me most about that airport was how remote it was, how far away it was from the actual city. I just, being in Chicago, I'm used to O'Hare, I'm used to Midway. It's like right in the middle of everything. But Denver, that was really weird because it's like on its own. So, I mean, if you listen to what Jesse's saying, I mean, you actually could, if you squinted real hard, you probably could see what he's trying to get across. Now, whether or not he's on the right track or he's lost it is another story.
Well, I'm going to play his closing. He had a closing on it, and I just wanted to share it with you. It sort of culminates everything from the show.
Put all the ancient prophecies and myths aside. Experts tell us there's scientific evidence that 2012 could mean big trouble for old Mother Earth. And no one in the government is even warning us to set aside a flashlight. A lot of people are already making their own plans. I never thought I'd see the day when people traded their homes for condos and missile silos. But they are. And government bunkers? They're no secret. The only thing we don't know is how many and where. I'll be thinking about it the next time I fly into Denver Airport, and we'll follow up in 2013. Maybe. I'm Jesse Ventura, and this is Conspiracy Theory.
Jesse's not the only one. Next time I fly in, I'm going to be paying attention.
Well, you're going to be looking for bunkers and ghost hunting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about NASA. Do you have anything on any response from NASA?
NASA, I don't have. Well, I do have NASA, the solar flares in 2012. NASA does monitor solar flares on a regular basis. NASA can actually predict general cycles, and they can even predict when larger flares are more likely to occur. Now, one of these larger flares is supposed to occur in late 2012. A solar storm warning was actually issued back in 2006 for 2012. What's expected of this solar flare, this solar storm, is electrical power and all forms of communication is going to be affected, which means the food and water supplies will be crippled, and they're expecting general global anarchy.
Well, NASA's not saying this, correct? NASA's not actually...
No, NASA's actually not saying that, but NASA has made a prediction about a major solar flare in 2012.
Correct, and I've read this and I've researched it. There is a solar storm that naturally occurs every 11 years, and so obviously the last one that we've had was actually in 2001. So it is predicted and scheduled to actually happen legitimately and factually in 2012. But it happens every 11 years, so it's anything different. I mean, I'm sure the majority of people out there listening right now has had at least 3 or if not 4 of these solar storms that have happened already within their lifetime.
Well, if there's anybody out there that has started hoarding, give us a call at 661-244-9831. Just kind of give us a heads up where your stash is so that we can share. But, on the NASA thing, there actually is another theory, and it is the guy that's actually talking about this has some pretty big credentials. This guy was a senior analyst both in the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. He's been on the board of directors over 12 public companies. He's been the CEO of 5 of them. He was a system engineer for a highly classified reconnaissance satellite program. His name is Dr. Chuck Missler. And Mr. Missler has another theory about the end of the world, which involves fallen angels. Mr. Missler says that they're listed, he talks about angels that came to Earth to mate with human women and produce a race of half angel, half humans, and they're called, and I'm hoping I'm not butchering this, Nephilim. And according to Dr. Missler, the ties with the Nephilim, he ties the Nephilim with the increase with the UFO encounters in end times. And what he's saying is that the Nephilim are coming back to Earth to take their chosen people away before the end times. And this is a guy who actually has some really big credentials. So I don't know, is he like Jesse? Are they off the deep end? Is there some credibility to this? I mean, it's not like it's just a cab driver somewhere, or no offense, cab drivers, but these are people that are really like working with the government in one way or another.
So wait, let me get this straight. This guy is actually saying that aliens are going to come down and impregnate human women?
They've already done it. And they've been doing it all along.
They've already done it.
Yeah. You don't know if they're supposedly among us every single day, and you don't know who they are, but the UFOs are coming back to take them away before the end of the world.
And he's a CEO.
He's been a CEO of 5 major companies. He's worked with the intelligence community. He was a system engineer for a highly classified reconnaissance satellite program.
Do you think maybe he took some LSD like the other guy did? I don't know about that.
I think there's been some really good stuff floating around within the government, and I think everybody's gotten into it, or quite a few people have.
Well, I've got getting back into NASA just for a minute. I have actually a quote and a recorded message from Don Yeomans, who's a NASA senior research scientist. And let me just read you a quote that he says. He's currently still in NASA, and this is what the PR group has been sending out from the organization. There apparently is a great deal of interest in celestial bodies and their locations and trajectories at the end of the calendar year 2012. Now, I, for one, love a good book or a movie much as the next guy, but the stuff flying around through cyberspace, TV, and the movies is not based on science. There's even a fake NASA news release out there. And this is from Don Yeomans, who's a NASA senior research scientist. So he had talked about in this article, too, that I had read, he's talking about Planet X and the polar shift theory and the solar flares and all of that stuff, and basically saying that whatever people are talking about in regards to geological stuff, like the polar shift and the solar flares and stuff like that affecting the Earth, it's natural occurrences that have happened in years past and will continue to happen. I mean, it's just natural. It's just what the Earth and what the planet and what the universe does. But I want to play you this little recording. It's about 3 minutes long, and I thought it was just an excellent way to sort of wrap up everything out there. And this is from Donald Yeoman, who just sort of touches base on a lot of these things and explains some of them to you. So let me just play this for you guys.
I'm not expecting anything special in 2012 around December 21st. I'm not going to lay in any extra supplies, no survival gear. I'm just going to lay in an extra supply of eggnog for the coming holiday season. There's no planet Nibiru, there's no planet X, and nothing is hurtling toward us. But there have been claims on the internet that there is a planet called Nibiru, 4 times the size of the Earth, that's going to come close to the Earth or smack it in December of 2012. But there's no telescopic evidence. There's no evidence that it's perturbed any of the inner planets or the outer planets, which it would have to do if it were in an orbit around the sun. And so there's no evidence whatsoever. And as Carl Sagan pointed out many times, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and there's no evidence whatsoever for Nibiru. The Mayan calendar does not end in 2012. They have terms that they use for long periods of time, much like we have terms for long periods of time, like a decade, a millennia. The Mayans had something called the long count, which was 5,125 years long, and that's what's coming to an end on December 21st, 2012. But a new long count begins on December 22nd, 2012, much like our own calendar ends on December 31st, and the new calendar for the next year begins on January 1. Regarding the solar maximum cycle, the sun has a period of solar activity that lasts about 11 years, so it is scheduled to reach a maximum around 2012, but it's been doing this for millennia. It reaches a solar maximum every 11 years or so for millennia, and there's no reason to suspect that this 2012 time period will be any different from the others. Now, as far as the Earth's magnetic field goes, there is, in historic time, pole reversals, north to south, south to north, but that sort of pole reversal of the Earth's magnetic field occurs on 400,000-year timescales, and it takes thousands of years for that change in polarity to take place. And there's no evidence whatsoever that it's going to start changing polarity in 2012, and even if it did, that wouldn't affect the rotation of the Earth, nor would it affect the rotation axis of the Earth. There are no planetary alignments in 2012. There won't be any planetary alignments for a couple of decades on either side of 2012, and even if there were, it wouldn't be in effect because the only objects in space that materially affect the Earth's motion are the sun and the moon. Folks have to be very careful when they get information on the web, and that goes especially for objects that are in near Earth space and are coming close to the Earth. We have a website called Asteroid Watch, which is backed with evidence and scientific method. If we put something out there, it's the truth. If you go to other websites and they're putting things out without evidence, without science, don't believe it. You have to be very careful where you go for your information.
I just thought he touched on everything and intelligently answered all of the fears and doubts that come with the end of the world.
So what am I going to do with all these Nibiru Planet X T-shirts I was going to sell?
Well, maybe sell them on eBay. You can always sell stuff on eBay, right?
So
I actually did some research on quotes from famous people. I don't know. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about something else, Lucy?
No. Let's go with what you were.
I thought this would just be a fun thing. Just some celebrity quotes regarding the end of the world, and some of these I laughed hysterical when writing them down, and I just figured I would share them to you. I only have about 5 of them, but the first one I have is from Woody Harrelson, and this is what he says, and I quote, "I think there is a real sense in our culture that we are heading towards some kind of apocalypse. Maybe it's the part of the Christian concept of the apocalypse, but I'm not saying that it is an exclusively a Christian concept." So he's touching sort of on a religious end of it, but I'm not sure why he's relating the Christian concept to the end of the world. You know, Christian concept, basically the Bible, doesn't give a date, doesn't predict anything other than the world is ending, and, you know, naturally the world will end sometime, but I'm not sure why he's correlating the Christian Catholic faith to the Maya 2012. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, on a side note, it is a well-known fact that Woody Harrelson is a big proponent of, let's say, a green leafy substance, and he's been known to smoke quite a bit of it. So, I don't know, when I'm thinking about what he's saying, I almost classify him in the same category with the professors that were experimenting with the Mayan LSD.
I think he's also a tree hugger, too, so, you know.
Yes, he is.
Here's a funny one. Mel Gibson is giving a quote on this end of the world.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I don't know how he finds time in between cursing and yelling at his ex-wife on the phone and getting drunk and yelling profanities at cops. But this is what he says about the end of the world. "I just want to draw the parallels. I don't want to be a doomsayer, but the Mayan calendar ends in 2012. So have fun, boys and girls." Are you kidding me?
Well, also, too, Mel Gibson is a very, very, for all of the things that he does, he's a very devout Catholic.
Very devout.
Very devout to the point where he beats up on his girlfriend, he swears, he makes inappropriate remarks, but all in all, he does claim to be a very devout Catholic. So a lot of his, his gloom and doom is probably stemming from a lot of good old-fashioned Catholic guilt, which I have a lot of. But that's no, So who's next on your list?
Lil Wayne. Does anybody know who Lil Wayne is? He's I guess the best-selling rapper in the world. But here's a quote that he has said, and I quote: "The world is about to end in 2012 because the Mayans made calendars and they stop at 2012." Very prophetic. The background story of this quote basically says that he read books about the Mayan prophecies on his tour bus. I highly doubt that.
I would pay to see that rather than him rap.
Yeah, I don't think he's reading prophecy books on the tour bus. I think he's doing other things.
That's awesome.
So my next one is from Ashton Kutcher. And this is a pretty decent one, but I guess it's going to change now because the rumors are he's getting divorced. But here's his quote: I'm going to be ready to take myself and my family to a safe place where they don't have to worry. All of my physical fitness regimen is completely tailored around the end of day," he explained. I stay fit for no other reason than to save the people I care about. So he's basically going to the gym so that he's ready for the end of the world.
This is the guy that did, what was that show, Punk'd for so long?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not buying. Right? Yeah.
And my last quote that I have from a celebrity is from good old Ghostbuster star Dan Aykroyd. And he says for the year 2012 will be the end of the consciousness and the end of perception as we know it. And it will involve UFOs, he added, but I'm not sure why he's adding UFOs to that. But those are the quotes from celebrities that I've got, and I thought I just would share that with you guys just for a little fun, little quirky addition to the topic.
That was awesome. So with all this talk that we've done about the end of the world, so what do you want to do? Let's say it does happen tonight, next year, whatever. What's on your list?
Well, if it happens tonight, in New York, I've only got about an hour and 15 minutes left to do anything, so I don't know if there's much to do for today, but if it does happen in 2012, I think I just want to make the best of it. I'm sure that's what everybody's going to say. First thing I do is quit my job, but just living life, being around family and friends, and just enjoying what we have here. Not to say that where we're going next you won't have it, but just sharing what we have here on Earth is something that I would want to perpetuate and delve into before whatever chaos is going to happen at the end of the year. That's just me, but what's your take? What do you plan on doing? Are you going to head into a bunker with Jesse Ventura, or are you going to go and live life?
No, I'm going to go out. Like I said, the research that I did when I first started this topic, it was scary. I didn't want to talk about it. But you know what? After all the research and everything and getting in touch with a little bit more with the Native American side, it is a time of renewal. It's a time for me to move forward, and it's the end of one cycle, and I'm going into another, and I intend to enjoy it. I intend to love the people that I love. I intend to be nice to people. We'll see how long that lasts. But I mean, it's a time of change, and I think the Earth is going through a time of change, and I think we just need to listen to her a little bit, and whatever I can do to help others do that, I think that's just what I want to do. I just want to live.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone just needs to open their ears, open their eyes, just to see what's going around them and, make things better for what we have right now. The world will end someday. It won't happen tomorrow. I highly doubt it will happen next year. But it will happen. And hopefully, if we treat the earth better, we can actually have our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids live on in a world that will actually better itself and hopefully prolong the existence of life here on Earth, because who knows what will happen afterwards. That's just the way that I feel and the way that I pretty much want to end this discussion. How do you want to end it, Luci?
I think we're all still here, and I really am still waiting for Harold to give me a call. I've left several messages, but, we'll see. We'll see for the next time he predicts the end of the world.
I don't even want to ask what you want to talk to him about, but we'll let that go. Why don't you talk about what we're actually going to talk about in our next show?
Our next show is actually going to be why is the paranormal field so popular? I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to talk to some people at the Chicago Ghost Conference, and I got some really interesting answers. And because we were talking about it, Anthony, it's why are horror shows, the ghost hunting shows, the ghost story shows, there's so many of them, and I know a lot of people say that, maybe the tide has passed on it, but there's no doubting it. I mean, they're popular. And when you start talking about ghosts, everybody listens.
There's so many shows and so many radio shows, including ours, that have popped up in the last 5 to 10 years, and it's just grown tremendously. And personally, I don't know if it's at its peak or it's on its rise, but I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. And you mentioned that you did some interviews. Can you share any of the names of who you interviewed?
Well, I did talk to Chris Fleming, who is a medium, well-known in the paranormal world. Actually, me and you, we've had the opportunity to actually ghost hunt with him out at the Stanley. And he shared a lot with me as to his take to it. Jeff Belanger, who's actually a writer on Ghost Adventures, and the creative force behind GhostVillage.com, and the host of 30 Odd Minutes. I talked to him. I actually talked to Dave Schrader from Darkness Radio, and a couple other people. I'm sorry?
Good old Uncle Dave.
Yeah, good old Uncle Dave, who actually I would like to thank for being a role model for me. Listening to Darkness Radio for years, I just, is one of the inspirations for me to do this with you. So, but there's quite a few interviews, and hopefully we'll get our listeners in on the conversation. Why are you so interested in the paranormal world? What's your take on it? What your take is, and how you feel about it too.
So that's great. It's going to be a great show, and I know a lot of people have opinions about this, both for and against, whether or not it's on its rise or on its downfall. So I think it's going to be a great topic that we're going to bring up, and hopefully we'll get some callers in and just have a great conversation and see actually where it actually ends up going. Excuse me. So that's it for tonight, and I just want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank Luci, and I want to thank Cyrene Marie again for the great intro music and for our exit music that I'm going to be playing shortly. But you have any closing remarks, Luci?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank you especially for everything you've done to help us get this going. I've totally had fun with this. I can't wait till we do the next one. And, to everybody who's out there listening, thank you for your support. Hopefully we didn't bore you, and hopefully we'll get better as we go along. And if you've got any comments, any questions, feel free to send us an email at paranormalreview@yahoo.com, or you can actually I believe they can still comment on the Blog Talk Radio site. Can they, Anthony? Can they do that?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Okay. So any feedback, any suggestions, please send them along.
Great. Thank you, Luci. Take care, everybody. See you next time.
Paranormal Review Radio.